But aren't these usually on this side? Yeah, theirs are.
Ready?
Oh, we can move ours.
Welcome everybody
Okay, I
to
don't
the
care.
regularly scheduled school board meeting, Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:30, and I would like to have everybody join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Ronnie? Roll call. Everybody is here with the exception of Katrina, who is joining us via Zoom. Are you with us, Katrina?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. We can hear you loud and clear as well. And with that, I would like to move us into 2.0 communications, and I'd like to invite Robert BJ Sorensen. Always do BJ, and then somebody tries to send you an email and they can't find BJ. Yes, to talk about our RISE Award.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm just excited to announce, as we all know, there's a lot of great stuff going on in our buildings. But we get to see here in board meetings, we don't get to see more than just a fraction of really what's going on a daily basis in our buildings. And so I'm excited to announce that we're going to roll out this year a recognition and a way to celebrate more of the incredible work going on in our buildings with our staff. And so weekly, we are going to be awarding what we're calling the RISE Award, and we're designing it after our rising sun. RISE stands for Recognizing Innovation, Service, and Excellence. And the intent is to, again, highlight staff members who are going above and beyond. And these recognitions will be featured in our weekly communications. And just trying to, again, get out the good news of amazing things going on in our buildings on a daily basis, as we all know. Our plan is to we have pins that we've ordered of the rising sun with a card that is from Shelley, Dr. Redinger. And fortunately, I also want to acknowledge that GISA Credit Union is partnering with us on this and has generously given and sponsored the pins for us. So again, they're a great partner and have been for many years. So we want to thank them for their ongoing partnership. So we're excited to get this rolling out. Badger Mountain is going to be our first school. We will be doing this every week throughout the year and have broken it up by schools and departments. So we want to make sure we recognize those departments that sometimes go under the radar, including nutrition, distribution, transportation, all those departments that we want to make sure we recognize. So I'm excited to get this going and to celebrate and let our community, give them a little more of a window into the amazing stuff going on every day.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions? I do have a quick question. So you said you're going to kick it off with Badger. So are you rotating school to school, or is it just district wide and whoever is doing outstanding things, depending upon what school they're at, can have an opportunity to rise?
Good question. So we've created a schedule. So it's from by school. So we're starting with Badger, and Carmichael's on deck. So we're going in order throughout the year, each week recognizing a different school or department. And so we'll be doing that. Principals and other staff members will be nominating and recognizing people at their buildings.
Okay, so it's not, it's individuals within that school, so people know how to look. Okay, cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, so, and you guys are welcome to join us anytime you're available. Come along and we can let you know what the schedule is. So
awesome.
Yep.
Thank you, BJ.
Yeah.
Thanks, BJ. I also want to double check. Tiffany, are you with us, our student rep? She's not feeling well tonight, so I think she Zoomed with us as well. Tiffany?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Oh, you poor thing.
Man, you sound sick.
I know. I can't believe.
It's okay to skip if you're sick.
Yeah, it's okay. So if you sign off and I don't hear from you, that's okay. All right, with that, I am going to move us into requested comments. I think we only have one individual signed up to speak tonight. Is that
Yes, we Ron Higgins.
okay? Perfect. So we're now at the opening of our meeting for public comment. This portion of the meeting is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within our jurisdiction. The board also encourages speakers to present written statements to the board secretary, who will distribute copies to all board members. Please keep your comments brief and focused on the issues before the board. We ask that all comments be respectful and constructive, and that the audience remain quiet and respectful regardless of your agreement with the viewpoints that are shared. The board will listen to your comments, but will not engage in back and forth discussion except to ask clarifying questions. Please be aware that comments regarding individual staff or students are not appropriate during this time. If you have a concern about a specific staff member, please direct it to the superintendent or discuss it with a board member privately. We've set aside 30 minutes for public to allow 2 minutes per speaker. We will do our best to accommodate everybody who wishes to speak. If we run out of time, you can send it back. And that still only gives you 2 minutes.
Okay.
Welcome, Ron.
Hey, thanks, Jill. I'm a home care aide. I got that certification. My son's in a wheelchair. I did some assistance for him. Both my wife's a nurse, and we both helped out. He's more or less independent. I don't want to go into that, but I get information from the health department about the COVID-19 injection, which has been described as a bioweapon by the individual who wrote the bioweapons treaty. And it looks like they're going to start pushing this. And please educate yourself before you do that, because I've heard some very, very troubling things about it. And I'll just go over them. From Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. She was the director of a level 2 trauma center for 12 years. She's an osteopath. And she had some very troubling things to say about it. He said, we're injecting all this foreign matter, animal cells, aluminum, and weird adjuvants. It causes cardiovascular disease, neurological problems, and a long list of autoimmune diseases and cancer as well. Doctors are calling it turbo cancer because it spreads so rapidly. There is a committee now to be looking at DNA contamination, poor manufacturing standards, cardiovascular complaints, turbo cancers, long-term disability, and complications with the immune system. By the way, they call that regulatory capture when an industry takes over the regulators, like it did with the Centers for Disease Control. I used to work for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. People accused us of that. That was not the case. Another individual, this is I quoted Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Karen Kingston, a biotech analyst and Pfizer employee, and made some other statements that this injection contains lipid nanoparticles made of hydrogel, which contain graphene oxide, poison to humans, strong immunosuppressants. They could suppress your immune system while being injected by something that's going to hijack your immune
Thank
system.
you. That's your time.
Actually producing the disease-causing genetic material that can cause cancers, inflammatory diseases, genetic disorders, infertility, etc. So I just want to say, if you get pressure to force people to take this, please resist it.
Thank you. That's your time.
Give them the opportunity to make the decision themselves, and hopefully it will be an informed one. Thank you so much.
All right, we will move to board and student representative and superintendent reports. Shelley, do you want to start?
Sure. I just have one thing I want to highlight is that we do have the strides, the walk against suicide. And so that's coming up. And so we'll make sure that you all get a link with the information on that. We all meet at Franwer Stadium, walk together to the park, and then have some great speakers. And it's a wonderful celebration. I was impressed with all the students that show up, and there's just a real feeling of unity. So we'll make sure that the community knows and we get everyone invited. I think it's the 24th. Is that correct, Tori? Okay. 24th of September. Yes. So it's a wonderful event. Okay. That's all I have.
Bonnie?
next?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm also talking about take strides. Um, September is Suicide Awareness Month, and just in the last few weeks, I have had a couple of friends young adults who recently graduated from our district who have died by suicide. And in the last probably 6 years, I can't even count on my hands the number of friends of my kids who have died by suicide. So it's a really big concern in our community and around the country. I have been working on a teen mental health summit that we're in conjunction with Take Strides Tri-Cities. It's the Sunday before the walk, and it's for parents and youth. It's at Richland High School in the auditorium from 5:30 to 8:30. Students from Hanford High School and Richland High School have been helping put together speakers and information booths and things like that. There's treats from Dairy Queen and Crumble afterwards. So everyone's invited to join us at Richland High School on Sunday, September 21st from 5:30 to 8:30 to kick off this week of awareness. So and also the walks by Shelley.
What
Yeah.
were the times again?
5:30 to 8:30 on Sunday.
Would you like BJ to get that out in social media?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I will send it
So-
to you, BJ.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right, thanks. Rick,
I don't have anything.
Katrina?
I don't have anything tonight.
None?
Yeah, so Tiffany and I met with our principal last week, just to touch base, and Richland had their first assembly of the year a few weeks ago. There was a meeting at Hanford between ASB and clubs to like teach clubs how to fundraise, and I think that's sort of a new thing that not a lot of high schools do, and I think it was really beneficial for a lot of clubs. And then there's a freshman pep assembly tomorrow, and I think Tiffany has a couple more.
Thanks. Tiffany?
There's our first general council ASB meeting today, and then we also have a pep assembly on Friday to prepare for the game against Richland for football, and then there's also a Hanford versus Richland soccer game tonight.
Thank you. Anything else? You guys are good?
Oh, that's it.
Okay, and the only thing I want to report on is I want to encourage in the parent newsletter that went out today, there's a parent guardian committee survey that went out. I encourage all the teachers to encourage the kids to encourage their parents to fill that out. The more we can get parent involvement and parent input to share with the board, the better. So it's just a brief survey. I think it's got 6 questions on it, topics that you're interested in learning about, best way to distribute that information amongst, and how to get more involved just in the school system. So that is looking forward to that. If I don't get enough responses, I'm going to send out it again through our great communications
Is
department.
it on Parent
So
Square?
it is. It's on Parent Square, and then it also should be posted on the website. And yeah, Parent Square on the website. So if anybody has any questions on that, go ahead and send comments back to board feedback. And the other thing is we were talking about changing the date in September. We still haven't finalized that because we want to make sure that we have information back on the surveys to identify and figure out when the meeting dates will be in the upcoming topics. So that is all I have. You didn't get it? All right, I'll double check on that. You didn't get it on Parent Square?
Wait, is it in the newsletter?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in the newsletter that's on there, and you have to scroll all the way to the bottom because
Okay,
it's like
so-
the last.
Maybe send it separate.
I might ask them to send it separate. So let's just start. So with that, I am going to move on to our business at hand, and that is Shelley with our performance audit updates.
Yes, and so I asked our Director of Operations, Brad Anderson, who's in the back there, on what are some yearly requirements that we have for inspections that are some of our critical systems. And I wanted to highlight those to our community and to our board. So yearly documented safety inspections happen for a number of our critical components and systems. So we have 50 freshwater backflow preventers that have to be checked annually. That is one of the things that we do in-house. Now we have third parties that do 26 elevators, 24 fire system sprinkler buildings, 18 commercial kitchen hoods, 7 trash compactors, every set of bleachers indoors and out, and every basketball backboard assembly across the district has to be inspected, documented, and approved for safe service and in full operation. So I'm pleased to report that Mr. Anderson has assured me there were just some minor things that needed to be fixed in terms of those areas. And some of the third parties that help us with this that we're required to report to are our state labor and industries, the health department, our local fire departments, our municipal water partners, cities of Richland and West Richland. And just know that we did well on all those reports. One area that we know we need to continue to get a little bit better on is our air conditioning units. And so we have a lot of those that are systems are starting to fail. And when the weather gets like it did with that high humidity, our systems really did struggle. So, so I know parents and we brought in fans, and the operations department did a great job bringing in fans and helping get those systems up and running. So hopefully we're done with the really, really hot weather, but do know in the future that's an area that we'll need to continue to address. Any questions for me about any of those?
I guess I do just comment more.
Sure.
So Brad Anderson and his team, you hear me talking about 2019 staffing versus now. His team has less staff than they did in 2019, and they're working very efficiently and doing a great job with less people. And as we look at budgets, I think we need to keep that in mind, that is not a place that has any extra fat from what I can tell. Also, when you talk about HVAC, so you and your guys and gals are doing great. Thank you for work on behalf of the district. It's really impressive. When we look at new schools, as I'm watching what our schools do with HVAC, especially in August and when it's really hot or really cold, I think they undersize our HVAC systems. I think they do it on purpose because it costs less. We need to look at that and don't let them do that anymore. Especially if we're going to start looking at extended school years ever in the future, or things change. I mean, you wouldn't put up with it in your house. Why are we putting up with it in schools? So I think that's something we need to look at as we move forward.
And took notes, so that's good too.
I'll remember.
And Brad's busy.
All right. That will bring us to our 3.2 digital responsibility. And I'm going to invite Len. There he is. He was back there. I was like, where'd he go?
Good evening. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Custodio. You guys have heard about Custodio in the past. It's brought to us by LineWise. It is our parent and student well-being application that allows parents to control digital access in the home on our Chromebooks, as well as one additional device. Let's see if I can make this work now. Hopefully that's the right one. And it is a family-focused digital safety app that is available both on Android as well as iOS. It manages screen time, content filters, and it provides usage insight from the parent, so they can look and see how much their student is online and using their device when they're at home. And it allows them to control more of the content to keep them more safe within. All right, come on. And same thing, key features. One of the good things is the activity reports. So, you know, Bonnie, I heard kind of what you were talking about. It gives us a well-being application so the parents can keep an eye on what their children are searching and what they're seeking. It's simple to use, simple to sign up. I want to thank the Public Information Office. They've done 2 blasts this year. They did one on Parent Square, and then they did one on social media last week. We started at 5% at the beginning of the school year. We're up 6% already to 11% in just a week and a half's time. And that's an increase than what we had last year for the entire year. So it obviously is starting to get out. Today I sent out flyers, or this evening I've sent out flyers to the secondary principals. We met with the principals, middle school principals yesterday, and they have the one-page flyer so they can hand it out to parents as they ask as well. So we're definitely driving that all the way through. Easy way to do it is go to custodio.com/myschool. You'll register, the parent will register with their parent email that's on file in PowerSchool. And then they will download the application and they can add the devices, the staff or the student device by just entering the child's date of birth. And so then that'll add each student. The other nice feature about this product is the slide changed on me. So when we talk about our restrictions, Jill, you asked me a little bit ago about our restrictions and timing. If the time is appropriate or not appropriate and the parent wants to turn off the internet at home, they can do so through Custodio. So they can do it earlier than our scheduled internet restriction for middle school and below. So that's a key opportunity. Again, the QR codes are there. If they got any help, they can also scan that QR code and get help directly from Custodio. They have a team that helps out on that. And we'll continue throughout the year. We're going to do probably quarterly blasts. We'll do another one before winter break or right going into winter break. And then when we come out, we'll see another one about spring break. So that's really it's a super simple application brought to you by LineWise. The cool thing is the parents also get one student device that's personal device that they can add into that. And if they want additional student devices, then it's between Custodio and the parent to be able to purchase those additional licenses. I think it's $5 a license. Don't hold me to that, but it's pretty straightforward on that. You guys have any questions on that?
I have a question about the time.
Okay.
So middle school and below has a time restriction.
Correct.
High school does not have any time restrictions.
That's correct.
But if a parent wanted to add a time restriction in high school, they could do that? Is that what you're saying?
Through Custodio,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And we met with the middle school principals yesterday again during their PLC time, and there were some discussions about appropriate time. Students that are in extracurricular activities or taking advanced courses, high school courses, whether or not 9 p.m. I think the gist of it is the balance was 10 p.m. So we're going to send that out to parents, get that information out. We're going to readjust that. And we're going to continue to monitor, make sure that it's appropriate based on feedback that we've gotten from principals, administrators, parents in the community. We listened to that feedback and we've made some adjustments to make it a little more balanced across the board.
Anybody else have any questions?
Is there a way for the program to allow individuals to go longer than 10 p.m. if they're in middle school?
So it's done based upon grade level. So we have 8th grade and below, allowing them their time and access, and then high school and above there is no restriction on time.
But the program doesn't allow it.
No, it's based upon how we control the groups within our system. So we have done that as a large group. We have to do it on a scalable option versus individualized. There's no way we can manage a individualized application like that.
But you said it's based on grade level. So 6th
Correct.
grade could have a different than 7th grade than 8th grade.
We could.
Okay.
I'm
Sorry.
going to ask that we don't do that because
Right.
again, the dynamic and the manageability and
Right.
limited staff there's no way we can manage that very easily.
And parents can make it earlier.
That's
And parents can make it earlier and
100%.
in
And
high
that's,
school. Okay.
that's the drive. Use Custodio to be able to control those
To
adjustments. If they want the 6th and 7th graders to be cut off at 8 or 9, they certainly can do that on their
Okay.
own. So, all right.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking the program itself, the people who make it, they don't have an option where you can adjust it?
No. Custodio, yes, they can adjust the earlier time. They just cannot go beyond the 10 o'clock
District.
cutoff because that's done at the district level within our systems. That's not done through Custodio. It's two separate entities.
So the other option would be for us not to put anything on there and leave it entirely up to the parents, right?
Okay, so we did that. And we got much feedback last year
Okay,
about
don't,
that one, they were concerned that they weren't getting the information and they weren't aware of the application. And we did multiple blasts last year.
right?
And so I think that, that's an additional piece that the parent has to remember to take hold of. So we heard that wasn't an option that seemed to be very popular. Some parents took 5% took hold of it. So when you look at 5% of 14,000, it's not
Right,
very many, right?
many.
So we're trying to help them, and also make sure that our students are safe and give them the appropriate amount of rest, at night, because they'll stay up all night, they'll hide on their device, and we're trying to prevent that from happening.
Right, perfect. Ned, any questions from you? No?
I think it's a good system.
Katrina, how about you? Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I just encourage everybody to sign up for it, so that they can make use of this for their kids. I think it's a great idea.
Great.
And no cost to the parents, so that's even great,
Mhm.
or better.
How about you, Tiffany?
No, I think it sounds good.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask you each time because I don't want you to have to worry about talking. So if you have something to add after I ask Ned, go ahead and just chime in, okay?
Okay.
All right, great. Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Glenn.
The next thing that we have on the agenda is the board vacancy timeline. So we had the district and Nancy in particular put together a timeline for us in determining to fill the vacancy of Chelsea. So I think we have that
It's on here.
digitally. But for people that
Oh.
aren't,
Do we have a way to put?
do we have a way to put it on?
Online.
Yeah,
It's right here. Here, you can use mine.
she's gonna send it.
Yep.
here.
Please go.
So just for future, I mean, when we have these handouts like this, if it isn't, is it in the board packet?
It's in the packet.
Okay,
Mhm.
then never
The
mind, then
timeline,
anybody can
yes.
have it.
Yep.
But if they're looking at it, so on August 26th, we accepted Chelsea Beck's resignation letter. September 9th, we're reviewing the proposed timeline to fill in the position for the board meeting. Tomorrow, that application will go live. And where will we have it? It'll be on the website. Will it go out on Parent Square or not?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it'll go out on Parent Square. And social media. Okay, perfect. Thanks, BJ. So those will be going on. We're anticipating leaving the applications open for 4 weeks, just to make sure that we get a good pool. And it gives everybody an opportunity to do that. October 14th, we'll have an executive session prior to the board meeting to review the applications and select candidates to be interviewed. Then there'll be a vote in the public portion of the meeting to confirm the interview list. October 21st, special board meeting in public, interviews and selections, conduct candidate interviews, enter executive session for deliberation, and then return to open session to make the motion and vote. And then on October 28th, we'll do the oath of office for position number 3, ending November 2027. Does anyone have any changes, additions, comments, suggestions on that timeline?
On the 21st, third bullet, we should change the wording. We're going to return to open session to deliberate, make a motion and vote,
Yes.
not announce selection, to deliberate.
Oh, right, exactly, because we can't do that. That has to be done in.
Open session.
Yeah, nice call. Rick. Yeah, so discuss the candidates, make a motion and vote. Any other, Katrina, do you have anything else on that?
Nope, I don't. Sounds good.
Perfect. I don't think I need a motion to approve this, do I? We just move forward on it. Okay, perfect. So that looks great. Next, I'm gonna invite Travis up to have a conversation about the levy planning discussion.
Okay, so we've been talking about levy, I think 3 or 4 meetings in a row. Last time we were here, Corey Plager gave a presentation and was talking about different scenarios. And today I'm going to present my recommendation for values we should go for and short explanation of what that's going to do essentially for taxpayers. Want to real briefly discuss how the levies work. The state has limited school districts to have the option of the lower value between the assessed value $2.50 times the assessed value of your region divided by 1,000. And then a per pupil limit, which we haven't flirted with that in a long time. So I'm just not gonna go into detail about that. If it was an issue, I would. And then the voter approved amount. So when we talk about, or when we certify our budget, when the board approves our budget, we actually certify our levy. We can still change that through resolution later. But what we're going to be doing is asking the voters to approve our next 4 years of levy collection. And I'll explain a little bit more here in a second. If we were able to get the max rate of $2.50, I've worked with the Benton County assessors. Right now, the average assessed value in our district for a house is $418,000. And so what that would equate to is if we went for the max, that would be about $1,050 annually of levy collection is what we're asking voters to approve. And that helps our school district. I'll go in a little bit of detail on that in a second as well. But really, $1,050 a year breaks out to about $2.86 a day. Historically, we've ran our levy cycles. In the gray was our levy cycle 2 years ago, and the voters thankfully approved the $2.50 rate. And then again in the white was another levy cycle which also includes that yellow, which is the 2026 collection year. But again, the voters thankfully approved that $2.50 rate. The reason, so what happened though, and this is what Corey was talking about, the AV growth for our region increased pretty dramatically. And so what ended up happening, because we did not anticipate such rapid growth, we had gone it with a conservative projection of 5% growth. So when we asked the voters to approve a levy, we were asking at a 250 rate of a pretty conservative projection. And so what ended up happening is that levy rate actually decreased progressively through the life of that levy cycle. And so in 2026, our levy rate will be $2.07 for the EP&O levy. So what my recommendation is going to be is that the board agrees to the levy amounts listed here of 43,818,000, 48,200,000, 53,020,000, and then 58,322,000. And so for the 4 years, that would be $203,360,000 that would help our school district run. So what the levy helps cover, let's see, I think probably a month ago, I went into a little bit more detail. So I'm gonna bring up some of the challenges that we've been facing. We've been talking about special education being underfunded. We've been talking about many different challenges in material supplies, other costs, payroll benefits. Substitutes is atrociously funded. We're still operating with a rate that was given to us $150 a day for 4 days. That has not changed since 2013-14. Extracurriculars, we've talked about sports. We've talked about different clubs and even field trips for students. We've talked about supplemental and other salaries, and then also staffing over state funding allocation. So these are the total challenges that we face. And what we've been able to collect historically stay in balance. Moving forward with the levy request that I'm recommending, you'll see we still have the same challenges. These are projected amounts. But really giving a 4-year projection is very, very difficult in schools. We have no idea what the legislature is going to do to help provide funding for school districts. So if we essentially maintain status quo, that's what these projections are based on. We're still looking at ways of cutting expenditures, being more mindful with our spending and being more intentional. And so, yes, we're looking at reducing some of these expenditures, but what that does though is if we are still able to reduce some of these expenditures and we're able to pull in these levy amounts that I'm requesting, that means that we can get faster jumps on getting new curriculum that's going to be better for our students and more up to date for our students, and be able to provide some opportunities and not have to go through a lot of the difficult challenges that we've had to do. And so with these levy rates, I've also included a chart here that shows essentially what we can try to estimate the growth would be for the average house in our district. And so at a annual level, what we're asking for is for the voters to go from that 10,050 or 1,050 annual amount, if we're at the max rate, to a 1,142 amount. Again, because we had been too conservative with our AV growth, that 2026, they're going to see a $2.07 levy rate. And so our taxpayers will be paying $890. The average assessed value house would be paying $890. And so we're talking about a $21 a month jump for next year. And then progressively after that, we were only talking like $6 or $7. And had we been at a $2.50 rate, which the voters had approved for before, and if we had been able to keep up, it would not be such a scary jump, I guess you could say. Yes. Part of what we're also doing is we're asking voters to approve the capital projects levy. And again, just being informative on this, what this helps us to provide are some technological infrastructure and some of our core curriculum, online subscriptions and stuff like that for digital education in the classrooms. And so again, we're looking at rising costs and we're trying to keep up with those and maintain that 50-cent rate. So in the end, essentially what we're asking voters to approve is a total levy amount of $3, $2.50 to the general fund, $3 to the cap projects. And again, these are estimates. Historically, we've not been able to maintain those rates. because we've had such growth. Obviously, with what's going on, we're not sure what's going to happen. If we see a decline or lower assessed value growth than what we're projecting, the max that we will be able to collect is a $2.50 rate. So the max that our voters would have to pay is shown on this chart right here. If we go with the amounts. And that's also granted if I'm accurate with my projected AV for the average house. So what we're asking is essentially 1377 for that first year, 1471 for that next year, 1572 for the following, and then 1679 for the average household. Some of the questions that could be brought up is we're using levy funds to bring our fund balance back into healthy status, and that is just false. What we're going to be using those levy dollars for is going to have direct impact for students. What I'm looking at, I'm going to be talking about building a framework as my goal here in the later on in the agenda. I do not see levy as a way of building back the fund balance. We have levy to help provide the best education that we can for students. One thing that we do get if we have a levy at our district is local assistance from the state. This comes in through what we call Revenue Code 3300. We only get this if we have a levy, and this comes from the state. And this is one of the primary revenue sources that I'm looking at as being that way of building back our fund balance. And so essentially what this does is it helps bring some equalization where you have a lot of property rich districts like Bellevue and the Seattle areas where there's just so many houses and they can charge 15 cents rates and still make way more than what we can. So this is a way that the state has tried to help equalize school funding amongst the state. So this year, for the 24-25 fiscal year, the LEA money that we brought in is about $5.2 million. And so that's going to be how I look, one of the revenue codes that I look at as building back our fund balance. So I want to just be very clear, the levy is not going to be what it is. So. And with that.
But I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, we are at questions now.
Good.
So perfect.
So the levy money we're not using that to refill our fund balance. However, if we don't have levy money, the fund balance is the only place you have to pay for those things, right?
True statement.
And since our fund balance is very low, we can't do that. Well,
There's no money.
there's not enough to cover what we need.
We would have to make drastic changes,
Okay.
very drastic changes.
So the levy, passing a levy protects the fund balance that we have.
What passing the levy will do is it protects a lot of the options that we have available at Richmond School District with, I mean, I'm just going to bring it up. We talked about it last board meeting that some of our music options, I don't want to get into specifics. We would just have to make a lot of.
I will in a little bit. Keep going.
We have to.
Well, I mean, I know what some of
we
the
have to make
specifics
some
are.
very
Yeah.
careful
right.
decisions.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Rick,
You're going to love this. Okay. So we spent about $20 million and we said staffing over state funding allocation.
Mhm.
And that sounds very generic and dry.
Mhm.
What we spend levy money on that the state doesn't fund are things like 0 hour, school resource officers, paras. They don't fully fund all the paras we need. Special ed, sports, music, substitutes, buses, bus drivers, special ed folks who ride the buses for monitors. That's what the money goes for.
Mhm.
And I think when we put these kinds of things out, you don't have to sell me on the 250. We were at 350 before the legislature changed it. We need to tell people what these things funds, what levies fund, and what goes away. We don't have enough money to do all of that. If we lost the levy, we're legally required to do special ed. That means we're going to drop lots and lots and lots of programs. And that means we're dropping staff. That $20 million in staff doesn't buy teachers. That buys the staff who provides services. I think that's what we got to say in our advertising and when we're talking here. This isn't dry stuff. This is stuff that directly impacts kids.
Mhm.
And that's how critically important it is. And we should be able to say that. We should be able to shout that from the rooftops. And I like your projections. You don't have to come back and do this again. We just need to start talking about the things that we're funding and move forward with the resolutions, I think.
Great, thanks, Rick. Katrina?
Yeah, I think a couple meetings ago, like Travis said, we talked about what was in some of these different categories. I don't think we talked about what was in the tech levy in terms of what's covered by that. If we could get maybe some more information about that.
We can, Glenn, we tried to give some big buckets. Did you want to pull that back up? Travis, on the slideshow?
Yeah, the technology infrastructure and modernization.
Yeah. There we go. So we could get more details. Most of our curriculum is online now or is digital. And so that's a huge, huge chunk of it. And then also infrastructure. We can do things for that site modernization the other day where we store mainframe. It got really hot. And so that, we need to, if that went down, then everything would go down. And so that's an example, but we could get a little bit more detailed. Is that what you're thinking, Katrina?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like Rick said, we've talked a lot about what's at stake if we lose the other levy, but we haven't necessarily talked about what's at stake if we lose the tech levy.
Part of that though is if we lose the tech levy, then what we are currently using it for would then now come out of the general fund. And so we'd be talking about an additional 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, and $11.5 million coming out of the general fund in future years. That we'd
Or
have
we
to
would,
adjust that for.
Or you drop
or we would
Chromebooks.
be dropping services,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's the other thing Rick talked about with the other levy is we can't provide all the same services without the funding for things that are unfunded by the state and the feds.
Correct.
Question on that one, Travis. We don't get any federal fund or any state funding for technology, right? So those numbers only come out of the levy?
We get very, very minimal amounts in apportionment. Very, very minimal.
So just for future reference, you know how you showed what we spent versus how much we were under on the other ones, the underfunded programs.
Mhm.
It might be interesting to show just going forward, the difference of what we get versus what we're having to spend.
So, and I did show that in that. So if we go, if folks wanted to go back to that levy presentation that I gave when we first started talking, I don't remember exactly what date that was.
You did, okay.
But I did go through and I talked about the revenue amount and then the amount that we are actually spending in that category.
Okay.
And I did go in a lot more into that detail. I just bring it up here just to kind of re-summarize those big buckets of detail for the conversation moving forward and not have to go and represent.
Right, represent. So I think what I notice on this is when we start looking at the projected net activity and the underfunded programs, it isn't until the year 29-30 where we actually break even based on what we spend versus even what the levy subsidizes us. So if we don't pass that tech levy, capital projects levy, we need to add an additional $8 million on top of that, which means even in 29-30, we would not be at a net positive number. So hopefully as the community looks and sees what these numbers look like, this all goes away, except for those that were required by law to do, which is special education, payroll benefits,
Substitutes to an extent.
substitutes to an extent, because we only have so much money. They don't allocate enough money in state funding to provide for the amount of time that teachers get off for that. And then the staffing and state overfunding allocation. I think that is the most important one, and where the prototypical school model comes in, because we as a district have always tried to maintain a level of staffing that is in the best interest of our students. That prototypical school funding model is so out of date and hasn't been looked at, and legislators are terrified to look at it because it's opening up a huge can of worms. That all by itself is a huge impact to our staff and to our students, because staff or classroom sizes are larger now. Think about when you're taking $20 million out of the funding of the salaries for that. Paraeducators, they're virtually non-existent at that point. And I'm not saying this because I want people to, agree or disagree. I just need them to understand that this is a really critical amount of money for our district, and it is truly catastrophic in terms of what it means for the district if we don't pass this levy. And in passing this levy too, we also have to continue to emphasize to the legislators what they need to do to make sure that the local communities aren't having to pay for things that the state is requiring us to provide. Payroll benefits, for example. I don't even know how many of our constituents even know and understand that we have to pay payroll benefits to the state even when we have people that aren't accepting those benefits. And I would say that's a pretty fair percentage of that 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 million. Or at least a portion of it, because anybody who works over a certain number of hours, we have to contribute to their, and that is also part-time. I think it's 4 hours a day. Roughly 4 hours a day. So there's a whole bunch of things that encompass into these amounts that we don't have anywhere to get that money. So those are things that are going to vanish. So I just encourage the community to continue to ask questions, continue to understand what the ramifications of this mean, and that we are all in this really trying to get a handle on our budget and get those numbers. And we can talk a little bit more about that when you go into your fiscal planning for the district planning for the next several years on getting our fund balance back up. We're focusing on it all, but we can't really do one without the other.
Right.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Do you have? Oh,
Really
you
quick.
said I? Okay,
did.
I was like, is that Katrina
No, it's
coming
like-
out of the?
No, I don't know if this, I don't know how it works across the district, but I got a postcard the other day in the mail with my assessed value, and it actually was lower. I don't know if it was just an adjustment because it went up so drastically. If it was, I don't know what happened. I don't
We're all
know.
looking at you. How did you get
I
there?
know. How'd you do that?
I don't know, but I asked my neighbors and they did too. So I don't know if it's just like my neighborhood
Mm.
got devalued. I don't know what happened. But so I think that a lot of people remember when they went up so crazy fast.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people complained and wanted an adjustment. So maybe that's what that was. But overall, it seems like we've been trending up. What happens if everyone gets that readjustment? Does something bad happens, or?
No, so what will happen is if your house lowers in value, the max that we can charge is the max that we can collect is $2.50
Okay.
per thousand.
$1,000.
We just collect less money.
We would, so that the total amount
Mm-hmm.
for the EPO levy would be less that we would collect, because it's you,
So whichever
it's
one-
all of your neighbors, it's all
Mhm.
the new houses that are being built and that sort of thing that all pools into that. And that's why
The lower of those values, right? Is that?
The max is $2.50.
Okay.
And so if the AV goes down,
Still two
then the
dollars.
eight-
Still $2
it'll,
of the
it'll be
value.
$2.50 and we
Mhm.
would just be collecting less.
Okay.
Question. Katrina, do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Okay. Sinead, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right. And I'm assuming Tiffany doesn't because I didn't hear anything. So I think what you need from us is you would like us to decide on the amount over the portions. Does anybody have any questions before, or I will entertain a motion to do such?
It doesn't require a motion. What I would suggest is that you work with the bonded or the attorneys and generate the resolution with the numbers you
And then we
described.
pass the resolution.
And then we'll bring
Mhm.
that back
Okay.
the next meeting. Does
Okay.
that work for everyone?
Mhm.
Okay.
Perfect.
You okay with that, Katrina?
Yes, that sounds good. And this gives more time for the community to provide feedback on this plan if they have any.
Right.
Perfect. Great.
But
Okay.
I think we need to also see what this is going to provide for our students in not dry terms.
Yeah, because there's nothing.
I love the details and the numbers, and that's what it really does provide. You did it exactly right. But I think it needs to have the emotional appeal that this is what it really provides to you, the taxpayer.
Now, one thing we have done, because we have to be real careful as staff members in terms of being informational,
Mhm.
and the laws are really clear on that for staff, is that we are providing, BG did a good job with sandwich boards and different things for any event that is levy funded.
Mhm.
And so you'll see those at football games, basketball games.
Good.
It's factual, so we can share that information. And it's a lot of things that,
That's
And-
all factual. That's what,
yes,
if we don't have the levy, those things go away. Those are facts. We don't
Yes.
have a fund balance to rely on.
no.
All right.
Once the resolution goes forward, what we'll do is then we will get our informational campaign, which will have more of the details, Rick, that you are talking about,
Mhm.
in those. And BJ already has some drafts out there, but we're really waiting to make sure what the rate is and the amount. Do you guys need anything more from Travis?
That's good.
I
Thank you.
think he's next though.
He's next, yes.
You don't even have to sit down.
Do you just want questions or comments on these? How do you want to go through the goals?
That's what we were thinking, because you've seen these a couple times. We just want to see if you like how he's got it set up, and then any tweaks, and then we can bring it back. And then it would be nice to approve them, formally. Or if you feel comfortable doing it with a draft, we can do that as well.
You want to do one at a time, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I think we should do one at a time.
Right.
Yes.
One person or one goal or what?
One goal at a time?
Well,
There's different people with different
Yeah,
yeah,
goals.
there's
Right.
different, so
Okay.
finance and then, yeah,
And
and then
got
the
it.
next three. Yeah, so comments.
On the first one?
Yep.
I liked everything you wrote on the first one. I think it's a good goal. Is there a plan for prioritizing? This probably isn't you, actually, question. But what is the plan for prioritizing where we do spend the money? This is a plan about how to generate the fund balance. What does it look like for the rest? How do we prioritize that? There's going to be facilities. You've got it built into some of yours.
Sure. So when I'm looking at how do we restore the fund balance, I do look at that as part of the conversation and really trying to figure out going through expenditure reports and researching where we've been, but also trying to look at some of our school districts that are doing well. I want to look at some of the education data and the fiscal data and find those districts that are doing both well and trying to meet with them and discuss what's working for them. And so that kind of goes in to my goal. And I mean, the way I look at it, getting to 8% is kind of my job. So what sets this goal apart from just being my job? And I think it requires some of that. The way I'm kind of envisioning it is more of a roadmap that if something were to happen to me, then maybe it's still followed. Like there's an actual plan in place that's still followed. And then also something that's there, like if a levy doesn't go through, how can we still build a fund balance? And what are some key target points that would let us survive through something like that? And so that's some of the research that I want to do in this year to figure out, because I mean, Jill just mentioned it. We're working with an antiquated funding model and it's not working. We're in different times. And I think a lot of schools are kind of just still operating in kind of the same old, and maybe we need to change. And so that's kind of some of the questions that I have for myself in this that I want to investigate.
Okay,
I
agree
don't
with
know
you.
that I'll be able to answer them, but I want to investigate them.
So what about under the specific part of this? You wrote down what you just said, meet with districts who budget well and deliver services well as a specific action. I think that's what I heard you say. I think it's a
That's
good
part
idea.
of it, yeah. Is there a question or?
No, I think you should
Okay.
add that under the specific part.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Where is this?
It's not
It's
there.
up,
You
it's
just
right
said it.
here. I was looking for, I was like, wait, I didn't see that.
Oh, right.
I get what you're saying.
Specific
Because
meaning.
that
how do we
answers the
measure?
question about how do we look at the remaining part of the budget that we are spending, I guess. That was a great answer. Thanks. I don't have any other comments on this.
Katrina?
I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
So kind of along those lines, in
Mhm.
the next page on the framework, the data collection and cost analysis, I do have my peer network on there. And the statewide year-end fiscal and reviewing and analyzing statewide year-end fiscal. That's where,
missed
but if you want
something.
me to add that to specific, I'll add that to specific just to make it stand out more. Never mind. Belay that.
I might have screwed up my printing. I don't have a second page on this.
There's 2 pages. There's the.
That's the page I have. Where's the next page?
Yeah, you don't have it. It's this.
It's okay.
That might be why I didn't read it.
Yeah, it's that part.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Travis.
All right. So just to be clear, and so that we understand, what's his next? So we like this. So is the next step for you to add additional detail on measurables and outcomes and that, or is this
No,
just it?
this would be because it's the action item.
I just want to make sure that we don't need
Yes,
any follow-up.
I
We're
appreciate
we're
that.
good. You move forward and we
And
conquer.
We say, good goal, go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
And then we'll plan those quarterly updates, make sure that the community sees how we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Each one of these
Yeah,
times,
each of
with
these.
each one of the timelines
Correct.
that we've set
Yep.
aside. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. So that's our follow-up on that.
Yep. Got
Perfect.
it. Thank you for clarifying.
Awesome. All right. And then the next one is we have Mr. Gosney. For the next 2.
3.
Ooh, yeah. So you're not going anywhere.
So first one is the long-term facility plan. With the goal to come up with a 10-year plan that will address, acquisition of property, sale of property, construction, building maintenance, HVAC systems, rotations for tracks, tennis courts, etc.
Any questions from the board?
Can I go again first?
Yep.
So this one I do have the chart thingy on. And it says that the draft plan completion will be in May on the chart thingy, and it says June 30th. Can we make that like May for the draft plan completion on this one? 'Cause we don't usually meet in July. And you have July 26th. If we put May of 26 there under the time bound words, and then August of 26 for board approval,
Yeah,
or you can keep June for all I care for the draft plan completion, but August for the approval.
yeah.
That. And then on the next page, after equity, it says prioritizing areas of greatest need. And I like the concept. How do we do that? What's that process look like?
I'm sorry, I'm looking, where are you at on this?
I'm on under strategic alignment. So it's action plan by phases. For me, it's the beginning of the next page, top. And it says strategic alignment under it, and there's a paragraph. The
Second one from the bottom.
third, yeah, the third little dash says equity.
Mhm.
And it says ensuring that facility upgrades and maintenance are distributed fairly across all schools, prioritizing areas of greatest need so all students have access to quality environments. Is that kind of a Brad's shop kind of thing? How do we prioritize? Do we have a system for that? Because we'll get emails sometimes
Right,
that say, hey, the world is burning or we're freezing. And I mean, it's true. Their classrooms are either too hot or too cold sometimes.
right, yep. So, yeah, I think that's just.
We have a
part the
small amount
plan.
of
We're gonna have
staff.
to Figure out how to make that work and what does that look like? And, I think right now we've got some buildings that are absolutely priorities. River's Edge being one of them. And moving forward, how do we
Yeah.
continue to keep that maintenance up across the district? But if stuff crops up that is, I guess, a high dollar value,
Mhm.
how do we address that? To make sure we're maintaining stuff.
I think once you have a prioritization system too, one of the things I see is, and I've heard people tell me this too, if you talk to the board, it'll get fixed faster. That shouldn't happen.
Right.
Right. We should say, hey, have you talked to your principal? Have you talked to your building foreman, things like that? Because there might be, yes, it's important, but we also have limited staff. I think that's a message for us to not overreact and let the process happen.
Yeah, and our goal is to not have it land in your lap at all.
Sure.
But also, we need to come up with a plan that includes rotation of tracks, replacements, tennis courts, all those type of things that we know have a certain shelf life to them.
Mhm.
And, are we setting aside some money to, hey, at the end of 10 years, we have money to replace this track?
Yeah.
Or the tennis courts and stuff like that. So that will kind of drive some of that equity anyway, because we already have monies there to do it.
Yeah. Dave Ramsey planning right there.
Well, and updating
if-
things so you don't have to.
If
Let
I
it
knew
go
it worked
completely.
calling the board, I would do that. If I was a teacher.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
I get
But I
it.
mean, also it would be helpful if someone said, hey, did you know that the, shingles on the roof at the early learning center are blowing off? We could say, oh yeah, that's on the schedule for next
Mhm.
summer to
Right.
fix, right?
Right.
Like we can
Yeah.
know what the schedule is and be able to say
Exactly.
that's coming up.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, before everything completely falls apart and we have to completely.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the
Do it.
plan, right? Is to stay on top of the maintenance and the rotation, so that stuff doesn't become an issue to
Right.
begin
Mhm.
with. So
Mhm.
Or
at
it
the end of
doesn't
a
get,
roof life cycle, it's being
Right.
replaced.
I was thinking about the roof, Hanford's an example. It got to a
Right.
point where it just was past when it needed to get fixed. So we've got to get way ahead of those things.
Well, and we talked about it for a long time, but it just kept getting put off, put
Yeah.
off, put off. And this way at least allows us to put a plan together when we're going to address that issue.
Right.
And I think part of this plan is to not rely on necessarily bonds or levies,
Keep it as a
to,
rotation. And
help with the rotation, that we are actually making a plan to handle the rotation. Obviously, if it's talking about in a school or something, that's a different deal,
Mhm.
but the plan is to, again, we got 10 years on a track or whatever it is, that we are setting up a 10-year plan to finance
it.
replacement of the track.
Yeah, and keep it in working order up until that replacement happens.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this looks great.
And again, putting in like more durable
This is good.
materials and because there's different grades of materials you can put into buildings and tracks and all that. More expensive,
A little bit, but last
probably
longer,
worth it in the long run.
Kind of like a do it right the first time sort of idea.
which unfortunately the system isn't set up for schools to get to do that
Right,
very well.
So does this plan, do you anticipate this plan including projected bond projects
Yes.
like elementary schools and things like that?
Yep.
I think we need some programmatic discussion for a couple of things. So that might, and I would see that happening, March or April.
Mhm.
So that might require a little bit more time for
Mhm.
that part of the plan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And again, going to the bonds, we need to make sure we tell architects and we need to make sure architects and engineers don't do things that aren't wise. They look pretty, but cost us money.
Yeah,
I can give you examples.
I could give you some as well.
Yep, I'm sure we can.
So,
Mhm.
Some of them your old school. Yeah.
That he didn't design.
No, I know who designed that.
No.
We don't use them anymore. They're out of Spokane. I think they did the building down there where the roof collapsed. I think that was that architect, engineering firm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove by. I think it's the right sign.
Thanks. Facility planning,
This is good.
I don't have any more questions about it.
Katrina, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't have any additional questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Students, anything? All right. Perfect. All right, on to job description audit.
Yeah, so again, you've got the goal there. We're just, this audit, the point of this audit overall is to make sure that the job descriptions match what people are actually doing. So it's quite a bit to go through. And I think we've got a good plan to address it, but we've got phases that we'll be trying to meet the timelines on and report to the board after those phases. Same with the long-term facility plan, but
Didn't have any comments on this. The next two go together. And you captured it. I was going to say on the first one, it needs more discussion about efficiency and things like that. However, if you put them together, it's all there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because the real idea here is to evaluate what we're doing. Does it make sense? And, I don't think you can do a Kaizen. That's what it's called, right?
Right.
I don't think you can do that here for this, but the same philosophy. How do we
Right.
make sure we're being efficient?
Mhm.
yeah, part of it is making sure the job descriptions match what people do.
Mhm.
And part of that is, what are the, when you're looking at staffing level assessments, what are all the factors that go into, what potentially could trigger a new staff member or the other way. Right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. At first I was like, the timing was different because it almost has to happen simultaneously. And those dates match. I'm very happy about this. My list for a while. So
I hope you are at the end of it.
I don't have any questions. It's pretty thorough. But you, Bonnie?
Oh, I'm good, thanks.
Katrina?
Nothing more for me.
Oh, look at
Okay.
this, you guys. Nice.
So am I free to go forth and conquer?
You
Yes.
are
Yep,
free to
go,
go
go.
forth
goal.
and conquer.
goal,
And then
go.
again, I don't think there's any updates or anything. We'll just expect some
We'll do-
analysis on each one of those timeline dates.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Next we move to 3.6 legislative priority discussion. As we have this conversation, I want to remind the community, WASDA goes through and does a general assembly each year where it goes through the entire state of Washington and determines what the priorities for school boards across the state to have priorities on how and what we weigh in on legislative issues. So this priority list that was attached in the board packet is just a list of items that gives WASDA the ability on behalf of school board directors, the ability to weigh in on those options, either for or against, if those legislative issues come to a vote in the legislative sessions. So that's sort of what that is. What our goal was with the board members was to go through and see if there was any discrepancies on the work that WASDA does as a whole on a pass or do not pass on those positions. So with that, I am going to open the dialogue up to the board members as far as if there were any that jumped out or that there's questions on any of them that need clarification. And Katrina, I'll start with you.
So I think there was one of them that did not have a recommendation, perhaps because it was submitted too late to get the consensus of the committee. Rick, I think you may be on that committee. You may know which one I'm talking about.
A
Nope.
couple of them.
We only had one come in late.
There's one that
There's
they,
3 of them that there's no recommendations for.
Go through 'em.
Okay, I'll show you which ones those
It
are.
might have been, so there was a subcommittee that met with resolutions and they did their own. There's 2 committees, there's a legislative and a resolutions. There was a subcommittee that met and I was not on that one. Thankfully.
well, I think it said that the
And I
reason why
wrote-
they didn't make a recommendation is because they weren't all
They
all
couldn't
there or
come to one,
something.
maybe come to a.
And
Oh, I
then
would
those-
come to one.
Oh, they always, okay.
And it might have been an editorial one, but if Jill can pull it up, we
Yeah,
can
pull
look
it
at
up.
them.
And I had them written down on my other sheet of paper because I figured that might come up and then I don't have it. So give me just.
It's called Routes to Professional Certification. Is that the one you're thinking?
Yeah, there's
of,
2
Jill?
of them right there. If you could look at that one and then the one right below it.
Yeah, right below it says do not pass.
Okay, then maybe the one right above it. I know, I can't, where the heck is it?
I think it's just that one. That's the only one I saw.
There's 2, but now I don't even have the right one.
Yeah, I
Right.
think there was only one that I saw. I didn't have a particular problem with that one. Either for or against, but I went through the other ones and generally concurred with the recommendations that came from WASDA.
So I guess my question here, as I'm trying to pull it up, is the board comfortable with, after the conversation on the ones where there is not a recommendation, that we give the voting board member the authority to vote, how they see fit, or on those, do you want to determine whether that is a yes or a no?
Yes, I have a question first. Did we get credentials yet? I looked 2 days ago and we're not listed as having responded yet. And
You
I
did-
called Logan. No, I emailed Logan and Logan has not responded.
Yeah, you got a link.
No, I
He sent
didn't.
us a link.
Sent you a link, maybe.
No, we're both on it, but we'll do it. We do have credentials.
If you have it, respond
And
and
I went after I talked to you about the voting. I thought that you did that, but we'll get it worked out. So
Okay.
we do have the email and we will have the credentials.
so I trust everyone on this board. I don't want to bind the hands of somebody to vote yes or no just because we say it here. There will be arguments there. And I trust anybody on this board voting. If you hear an argument that all of a sudden causes you to say, wow, I didn't even think of that, I'm okay with you changing your vote. This
Same.
is recommendations to legislators who don't really listen to us anyway. But it's a way for the school directors to come out and say, here is a position and here's our rationale why. And if we disagree with something, we can still go there and say to our legislators, hey, we think this way. Although when I emailed our 3 legislators for the 8th legislative district and asked for a response at the last session, none of them responded. Shame on them and they know better. I hope you're watching.
And my computer just died, so I won't be sharing that.
I didn't have any that I would change either, but I
No,
sat
I
through
have,
them
do you
all.
want?
Go ahead.
It's okay. I don't have
No,
any that I would change either. I just wanted to make sure that the board was in agreement on the ones that there isn't, that whoever is the voting person, and General Assembly this year is all hybrid. You can only have 1 voting member per district online at one time. So like
Mhm.
Rick is there automatically anyway because he's on part of the ledge committee. If he needs a break or whatever, then I'll sign on and be the voting delegate during that time. They've also decided to only do it one day,
Mhm.
which is really nice as well.
Mhm.
So if need be, and somebody needs to connect, we should be fine. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was on board with the decisions that were being made by the person who was voting.
Am I the ledge rep for the board?
We don't have a ledge rep for the
That
board
was
right
Chelsea,
now
right?
because it was Chelsea.
And
Okay.
I say it's you.
Second that.
It's Rick.
Um,
How about you? How about you, Katrina?
I'm
Well,
happy
and
to
the only
nominate
reason
Rick.
is- and the
I
only
think Jill
reason-
and I will share it.
Yeah, and the only reason
Yeah.
is right now is because you already have to be there anyway
Yes.
because you're on ledge.
No, that's
committee.
not the only reason. That's a good reason,
Okay,
but it's not
there's
the
more
only reason.
reasons.
Uh-huh.
Okay, understand. Good thing I'm
So-
sitting back in the doing it today.
So Jill, I'm going to concur with Rick and say for any of these, and I know I participated last year, so I heard the arguments. For either of you that participate for our board in this assembly, I trust your judgment in listening to the arguments and voting for the district. There was nothing I saw in the handbook that really gave me pause, or that I felt really, really strongly about one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I felt too.
Yeah, and again, just to reiterate for those people that are listening, these are just recommendations. It votes across the board of all the school districts as a position, but that doesn't mean that if a certain position is not valid or beneficial to the Richland School District, that our board of directors and individuals cannot take a different route. It's just the route in which WASDA goes through. So
Yeah. And in general, both parties kind of
generally,
vote as a block. We call them party animals because once they're there, they turn into that party and they do their deliberations in private.
Yeah.
Even though this is a sunshine state and we're not, we are required by law to not do that. The legislature has exempted themselves.
crazy how that
Wish
works.
TV reporters were still here.
I know, right? They miss all the good stuff.
Pay
Anyway,
attention to your government. They do stupid things.
and talk to them. That's the ones who make the rules. So, okay, I think that's great. Consensus is that the voting delegate will have authority and there were no questions that came up. So that moves us now to
Community.
policies.
So Brad Anderson, I think, is our first. So we're doing our new
That's why you're
system now, where the subject matter expert will be presenting.
Good evening. I would like to present for first reading, revisions to policy 4330, community use of school facilities. This policy has been classified as critical by WSSDA and was recently updated in conjunction with them in July of this year. It was previously updated last time, December of 2010. I would like to give a little bit of information on what this covers and why this policy is important and it's widely used at all times. And so the revisions are needed and wording is important. During last fiscal year, operations department, which covers all this and facilities, booked 14,861 scheduled events. Out of that, 9,312 are athletic events. The rest comprising staff events and community events. Community events aren't necessarily all outside community. All of these scheduled events include school activities, sports, open houses, marching band, drama, key club. Community events, a lot of those cover Boys and Girls Clubs, scouting, PTO, Avid Nights, book fair, Nutcracker, ACT. So a lot of outside groups, a lot of inside groups. It is important. This policy is very important because of the strain that it does put on facilities. This is extra use that is outside of the teaching, the intended purpose of the building itself, the daily teaching of children in classrooms. This is, none of these reservations have anything to do with during the day. This is only after hours use and weekends, which requires additional services. So I wanted to give you that information as it relates to the policy as you read through and approve any changes, recommendations, move forward. Any questions on the policy as it is presented?
My only question is that we basically use the WASDA model policy.
For this writing?
Yeah.
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
Some of it doesn't work for me.
You want to highlight which? one?
Yeah, well, so for example, okay. Just go down to the part that's all crossed out. Some of that stuff is important. Like, why are we not asking for insurance anymore? Like every time I've booked,
I would have kept all the black too. I have it written down.
whenever I've used, like I book facilities for outside groups, and they say you need to have an insurance policy that names the Richland School District as,
Well, it's harmless. Yeah.
all this. And that seemed really important. How come it's not important anymore? Like, who's insuring it if we're not making them insure it?
Well,
We still
are.
do require insurance.
Oh.
And that is where some of the policy as written leads to some discussion.
So I believe that's in the second paragraph. It's in red. They added it at the top about the insurance.
Yeah, those using school facilities will maintain insurance for accidents and liability covering persons using the district facility under the sponsorship of the organization.
But it doesn't have the same detail that says it needs to be $1 million and it needs to have the Richland School District as an additional insured. It seems tricky. Like, why not? Why not be specific?
Would that go in the procedure? Because there will be a procedure with this, or is it just a policy? Is it a standalone policy? You guys have a procedure
We have
too?
procedures, yes.
Is that in there?
Yes. So
Okay.
in our procedures,
so
a
then
lot of those things are covered in procedures and it's
Okay.
stated in here.
Okay.
So these black things, the
Everything that you
because
took
the
out would
other
be in
part that's
procedure.
not in, the other part that's crossed out that's concerning is the part about being financially responsible for damage, because I know stuff gets damaged. And people are supposed to be responsible for it. Okay, so that's in procedures too.
Yeah, if they're there, I'm okay with
Okay.
this.
So what we need to do is probably important, since some of that is being moved to procedures, that you do see both. Usually you would just approve the policy, but you really should see the procedures.
Well, I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
it
Or
exists
just say
somewhere.
it was put into procedure.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with
Yeah.
that too.
Right, and I think we talked about as the procedures are done, that they get sent to the board just to,
Just to see them.
yeah, just to review. We don't have to approve them, but that way we know.
Right, I just want to make sure, because stuff gets damaged all the time when people use our facilities and our equipment that just happens to be out,
that's
and they
still
don't
in there.
always fix it.
Yep.
Even though it says they're supposed to be financially responsible, they're not always. We don't do a good job necessarily of holding them financially responsible. Stuff gets broken a lot. I have another question at the top. It's what is the difference between shall reimburse the district or will be expected to reimburse the district? What's the difference between that?
Well, will be expected is much nicer. I would leave the word shall back in there. Because shall means you will be expected.
Like, will be
means-
expected. I expect my kid to clean his bedroom too. He doesn't always do it.
Yeah, I would revert that back to either will or shall, not will be expected. Because expected dilutes it, just in my opinion.
Okay.
Yep, we agree. Ken and Tori are shaking
Okay,
their heads.
my
yes.
next question is the part about not discriminating. This first paragraph about not discriminating seems great, right? We don't discriminate, blah, blah, blah. The next one makes us be the police of other programs. Like, we have to we have to do investigations on everybody who tries to rent our stuff to see what their policies are. Like, it just seems like a lot of work that is unnecessary. Why do we need to do that?
We can go back and look at that part.
I mean, I'm just wondering, like, why is it there?
Well, we could add a blurb in there that says it will be the responsibility of those renting to make sure that they follow all state guidelines in accommodating. So basically saying that whoever renting is following the same guidelines or the same RCWs that we would.
Well, it just says here, right? The district doesn't discriminate based on a million things.
Right.
And so, and that we are gonna have providing equal access to all these groups. So why isn't that good enough?
I'm okay striking that paragraph.
Okay, well, we can do that.
Because I just want to know whose job is it gonna be to look into all that? Whose
Well-
job is it gonna be to do all of that, looking into every policy?
Well, and
that-
that's why I'm saying that they would be expected to follow the same guidelines we do without us having to go in and.
Okay, but then,
Oh,
I mean, it
yeah.
gets tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want, let us relook at that part. so we
Yeah, double
can
check that one.
tweak-
Okay.
tweak that. So Ken and I'll work with Brad and Kelsey and kind of go through this and
So are there certain portions in here that is not in the WASDA policy that we had in our old policy that we want to keep, or is all the red added from the WASDA policy? How does it?
There was a one addition up above in the second paragraph that was, a lot of that was done in-house for complete coverage. And it's stated, this is stated multiple times in additional policies and procedures. Possession, consumption, or use of alcoholic beverages, tobacco products, all of those types of things.
Including
Explicitly-
vaping.
Vape, yes,
Mhm.
everything explicitly excluded and
Mhm.
prohibited from our sites. I like to stress that at any time,
Right.
but that's a very important thing.
Okay.
Is that federal law too? All that language? Yeah.
we could check.
Well, the reason I'm asking is when we go to the like drama fundraisers or things like that and you bid on wine, you get a cardboard picture of, you're not drinking it there, but they don't even hand you the wine bottles there. I don't know if that's a law or if we're just overreacting or, you know what I mean?
I think it is in our, we can double check that. They-
Yeah, double check. 'cause
pol-
That is
it's
the good
more in
point.
our policies.
I don't want us to spend money on an attorney but and maybe
No,
it's
I
just
mean,
me.
just looking up the
This-
ourselves, the RCWs and the WACs.
Well, I
But what's the problem?
Well, there's like 150 wineries within what, 50 miles of us?
And a printed picture is not good enough for you?
No, I don't want to have to go drive somewhere. You can pick up your chocolate cake at the dessert dash, which is maybe, you probably can't pick up rum cake there though, huh?
You probably could.
If I remember right, that changed.
Mm-hmm.
They would do the fundraiser at the school and they would have the actual wine bottles there and it kind of raised some questions. So unless they were hosting an off-site
Mhm.
and they were hosting, if they were hosting at the school, that's when the cardboard
Yeah,
cutout thing became. But if they were at the Red Lion,
Mhm.
you would see,
and I've been at fundraisers
But
there.
is the
and you're right.
question, I agree with his question. Is that our law or is that Washington state law?
We'll double check with the WACs and RCWs. Yep. About alcohol
I'm
and
not hard over
tobacco.
one way or the other on it, but it seems silly. And then there's
Well,
a
except for
spelling
that, how do
error,
you,
but
wait,
give it to you
Rick,
later.
how do you differentiate then between like someone renting Franner Stadium for a soccer game and having a beer garden there? And
Well, you
Ha-
can't consume it there,
what it,
I'm not saying consume it there.
right? This says possession or consumption, where we would just leave.
And if it's too
consumption.
complicated, leave it alone,
it
but
just seems like, it just seems like,
I think there was huge concern over a mixed message,
Mhm.
having it on, it was okay for adults to have it on campus,
Mhm.
students, you know, obviously they're not legal to have it anyway, but
yeah,
uh,
there's a
Yeah.
law for that. I
yeah,
know that one.
so.
It's okay. United States Military Forces, United is just spelled wrong. That's all.
Any additional questions or concerns?
This is good.
Good.
Okay,
So,
we'll.
Jill,
Yeah,
Jill, I have one more thing where it says Boy Scouts of America.
yeah,
If
that's
we
not
could
the Boy
just-
Scouts.
Just change it to Scouts. And that way it covers all of them.
Yep, good catch.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep, perfect.
All right.
All right, thank you.
That was a
And-
hard one for your first policy.
So do I have a motion to approve first reading with mentioned changes?
I think we probably need to see it again.
Are we gonna see it again?
That sounds like it.
I
Okay.
think that,
Hey, Brad, it comes back as first reading again.
Yeah, next meeting.
Do you want to put it on consent agenda for first reading?
Well,
I don't care. I just want to be able to see it again.
Yeah.
but then it
we'd be
goes
able
on
to-
there again. I don't care.
It's
We
up to
just
you guys.
usually if it comes back again, it goes in the regular.
We'll put it in the regular.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It should be quick.
I
All
forgot
right.
which one, what's the next
All
one?
right, good evening, Superintendent Redinger and Directors of the Richland School Board. Tonight, we'll be considering Policy 5011, Sexual Harassment of District Staff Prohibited. This one is also a critical policy, and we'll be reviewing it for your first reading. We pretty much took all the model policy verbiage that was new and updated and put it into Richland's policy. As part of the process, we also bounced it off of Clearest Solutions, our insurer, to see if there was any preferred language. So any questions or comments? I'll try and answer any questions that you have.
On page 2, it says, the second paragraph, or the first full paragraph at the top. It says engaging in sexual harassment will result in appropriate discipline or other appropriate sanctions against offending, and students crossed out. Is it supposed to be crossed out?
Yeah, we had an internal discussion about disciplinary actions of students. And of course, we would follow through with appropriate actions. Staff, we felt like we're in a different category. So student violations would be spelled out in the student handbook.
Do we have a policy about that though?
In the student
Staff.
section.
Harassment of district staff. Could students students could harass district staff?
It's possible, yeah.
Mhm.
If it's covered somewhere else, I'm okay with it. I just didn't know why it was crossed out here.
Okay,
We'll double check on that, make sure.
yeah. That was an initial question we had as
Mhm.
well.
Okay. And then who's our civil rights compliance coordinator now? I think it used to be Galt.
Tori.
Yeah, so
Tori.
Two
Tori
of you raise your
for,
hands. Which one?
Tori for
Tori,
students, Ken for
Tori.
personnel.
I'm for students, he's for
Okay,
staff.
Yeah,
thanks. I don't
Double,
have anything else.
double.
okay.
Anybody else have anything on this one?
So we'll check on that one question. Did you guys want to?
I'm okay for first reading on it.
Okay.
I'll move first reading for policy 5011, sexual harassment of staff prohibited.
There's a second?
I'll second that, except for that, I just have one little thing in the, and right under personnel in that first part where it says promptly initiate an investigation. It doesn't say
Mhm.
investigation, it says investigate.
Mhm.
Just, that's
Oh,
all.
spelling.
Yeah, spelling, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Any discussion?
That was my discussion, sorry.
Okay, perfect. All right, we will vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Trina,
Yes,
Tiffany?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I know
Thank you.
she needs to go to bed.
Okay, and now our next subject matter expert, Travis.
So this one, I think, crosses multiple departments, but we are moving policy 6221 to now policy 6801 to align with WASDA. And we are essentially striking everything except for the and replacing it with the WASDA policy.
On D, letter D, is valued no less than 10,000 unless a lesser amount is set by the district. Is that lesser amount set in procedure, or do we need to pick a number here, or is there guidance from you of what number we should use there?
I don't have any guidance right now, and that could be in procedure.
Okay, I'm good with that then. It also says that the board will be provided with a report identifying assets not accounted for in the annual inventory. Is that required? I've never seen anything like that.
I do not know if that is required.
Because if not, giving it to Dr. Redinger is good enough for me.
Okay, we'll check on that.
She gets paid to read stuff like that.
Yeah. And if it is required, when you find that out, the only thing I would like is for us to add the date when the board will be advised of that so that we can get it on the calendar.
Just to get it annually
Yeah,
on our
just so
annual
that
calendar.
we don't
We don't have
forget
to put
if
a
it's
date in
required.
there, but
If it is, yep.
Yeah,
yep.
if it's required. All right, any other questions or comments on that?
Hey, Bill, I think the question I had was, since this is requiring an inventory, do we have inventories and systems in place that track this information? Or since this is really a lot of new material, is this going to be a heavy lift for the district to be able to report on?
I'll say it's something that we are looking at. We've got a lot of new folks in this position that would be responsible for this, and that's a procedure that we're looking at, and we've already had discussion about.
we did have a system at least because we got a management letter years ago saying we had to put a system in place, and then we were reported that here's the system that's in place.
And we do have one, and
Yes.
we're seeing if it's adequate or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Evaluating, that's a good word for it.
And so that will be part of the procedure then going forward, what that process is.
Mhm.
Okay. Great. Anything else, Katrina?
Nope, that's all I had.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve first reading with,
We'll move policy 6801, capital assets, theft of sensitive assets for first reading.
for a second?
I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion? Nope. All right, vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Trina?
Yes.
Travis.
There we
Thanks,
go. We got
Travis.
Tiffany too.
All right, moving on to the November board meeting change of dates, move to Wednesday, November 12th. And then add the special board meeting on October 21st. Does anybody have any conflict with that or concerns?
Good with it.
Would the October 21st meeting be something to go to?
Only if you want to. It's just the selection for the next board member.
Perfect.
So you need a motion for that,
S-
right?
Yes.
So I'll move that we move the regular board meeting from Tuesday, November 11th to Wednesday, November 12th for this year.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? No. Okay, vote.
Yes.
Yes, and I will say we did it on Veterans Day, maybe 15 years ago, because Pete Nollmeyer, one of the board members, was a reserve naval commander, and he wore his choker white dress uniform to that meeting
Oh,
on
nice.
Veterans Day.
I'm a yes.
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 Okay, great.
And Tiffany,
Yeah.
thanks.
Did we need to do we need to vote on add the special board meeting? Or did we do that? No.
You can do that just by doing it.
Okay.
You can't move regular meetings without.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure that everybody has a note that we've got that October 21st meeting.
Yep.
All right, next up is consent agenda. I'd like a motion, or does anybody want anything pulled from consent agenda? Nope. Okay, can I get a motion to approve consent agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
perfect. All right. And then next is future agendas. If we look at the next meeting, the only change I have that we mentioned going through in this meeting is 3.2 would probably be the resolution
Yes.
as opposed to just levy planning.
Resolution.
And we'll add back some of the policies from this meeting. So
Okay, yeah, the
we'll do
ones
that.
that I think it's just that one. Does anybody have any other changes or additions?
Hmm.
One thing that I want to bring up on the agendas that I was thinking about, and you might have to remind me why we did this. We used to have new business and old business, and then, well, we used to do it this way, and then we went to old business and new business. I would like to entertain the thought of having 3.0 be business, just so that we can do a return and report on things that sometimes get missed going forward. Like anything that we just needed to follow up on, or just, and then keep new business as new business. Does anybody have any issues with that? Or thoughts, or even care?
Good. You can go
don't-
first.
I don't care, but I thought going to this was your idea, Joe.
No, my idea was the old business and new business.
But it might have been your idea back then, but guess what? Sometimes you change your mind.
I'm
Fine.
Yeah, I
good
don't
with
think I can't remember.
It
and
was
that's
old
the
business,
reason I
new
can't
business when you
remember.
started, because that's the way I used to do it.
You did used to do it that way?
Oh, yeah, but I've been here a long time, so I've done it both ways. I could care less.
Because I like the, I mean, and I don't
Don't care at
care. I
all.
was trying to figure out where it went, because I knew we did. Do you remember, Nancy? why
Zero
it went away?
energy on this. But I think it's funny.
Oh, so good. Can we go back to that?
So is old business things that are like
Just follow up and just
things
return
that we
report.
put on the back burner for some reason, and then we just want to know what's going on with something we put on the back burner?
No, it could be things that are on the front burner that just haven't had a
Like the
recap on it.
levy resolution.
Yeah.
We've been talking about levy.
Yeah, so we've been talking about it. It would be anything that requires a report back or a follow-up, or if.
So like late start times that would be
Yeah.
in there.
it-
Like
it
what's
could- it
going, I
could
mean,
be.
I know we decided we're not doing anything with that right now.
Yes.
But like that could be something that like just hangs out there in the parking lot. So we remember that we used to talk about that.
Yes, and then if we decide we're not going to talk about it anymore, then the community understands that there's resolution on it. It didn't just fall off.
We didn't just forget.
Yeah, it didn't just like fall off into, and I think it helps us keep things. So I'm good either
I don't
way. So
care.
I think it's funny, and I may have, you're right, I may have, but I like the old way.
Now that you've tried the new way.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that we tried the new way.
You like the
New
way
Coke was
the old
bad.
Guy who did it, who told you, hey, this works fine. We don't
Okay.
need to change it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I gotta stop having fun at
Or
these
is it
meetings.
older than?
Well, if anything that we've talked about before would be old business, anything that we haven't talked about before within the last, I don't know, 2 years, I suppose would be new business, right?
That could be complicated. As long as somebody's keeping a list of what we are forgetting to talk about, then I think it's fine. Who's keeping the list?
Okay, so we'll decide that at board leadership, how we want to do that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you guys figure that out.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea.
And then anything on October 14th that anybody has any crazy thing that needs.
Who's thinking about October 14th right now? That's what I want to know. Not me.
Yes, we got the agenda right here. in front of us. Anything that there's, nothing.
That's so far away.
The only other thing that I guess we can figure that out later is, I saw it on there, the parent committee advisory meeting, and we need to figure out when that meeting's gonna be next, because we want to make sure we have the survey results, so we'll work with the committee on that. And I don't think I have
Jill?
any. Yes,
For the 14th, shouldn't we have the discussion about the board candidates, the director candidates?
Oh yeah,
that
there's
we're gonna
something, there
interview?
was something in the timeline was on about
Yeah,
that, right?
we'll go through the timeline, Katrina, and make sure it's on the agendas. Nancy and I'll do that.
That's
Yeah,
probably
I-
when we should vote on the levy too. We could. We don't have to.
I thought we were, I thought we
we
were
did
doing
that on the
next
night,
one.
on the next
23rd?
one, where we do the resolution.
That'd be the first time we see it, and then
Oh, yeah, yeah,
then you
yeah.
come
Oh,
back
first
the
one, yeah.
next
I've
time
gotcha.
and you vote on it
So
the
the
second time.
second reading, the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll add that as well.
October
October
14th is the executive session prior to the board meeting to review, and then, yep, so that needs to go on there too.
Okay, we'll go through
Vote in the public
timeline.
portion of the meeting to confirm the
Finish,
interview
Katrina.
list.
Good call, Katrina. All right, does anybody have anything else?
I'm telling my team they can go back there.
Nothing.
we're
Well,
done,
we're
right?
about ready to adjourn the meeting anyway.
Adjourn it, adjourn it. Do it, do
Yeah,
it, do it.
Bang your gavel, let's go.
I don't want to bang no secret gavel for the good of the order.
We're adjourned.
We're adjourned. Do you know that there was only like one meeting with that?